Thank you for joining us. President Trump is delaying tariffs against two of America's closest trading partners, Mexico and Canada. The president says he's waiting 30 days to impose a 25% tariff on goods imported from the two countries. The reversal comes after he spoke Monday with Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The U.S. remains poised to issue a 10% tariff on Chinese goods starting Tuesday. That means U.S. businesses that import items from China will have to pay an additional import tax. We're also tracking another big story from the White House. The president is set to overhaul USAID, the federal agency that oversees humanitarian aid programs. 3 U.S. officials tell CBS News the Trump administration plans to merge the agency into the State Department and significantly cut down its workforce. Over the weekend, billionaire Elon Musk said he spoke with President Trump about the humanitarian agency and claimed they both agreed it should be shut down completely, although doing so requires an act of Congress. On Monday, President Trump laid out some of his complaints with the agency.
I love the concept of it. Yeah, sure. I love the concept, but they turn out to be radical left lunatics. And the concept of it is good, but it's all about the people.
CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now. Weijia, with a little bit more detail than that, can you tell us why President Trump and Elon Musk feel that USAID is essentially rotten to its core and needs to be overhauled completely?
Well, the White House actually passed around what they are calling a fact sheet, Lindsay, that lists all of the initiatives that they have the most issue with on this. They say that $1.5 million was to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces. They point to other tranches of money that were used for transgender efforts and different programs in other countries. So, another one points to $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. So they are identifying the initiatives that they clearly do not agree with, which is no surprise given what President Trump has done to shut down all the DEI-related programs in his own federal government, Lindsay. And so that is why they say that really needs to have a close examination of the funding and how the agency is structured, which is why it is now going to be folded into the State Department, and we know that the acting administrator will be Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Elon Musk heavily involved in this overhaul at USAID. He's been tasked with essentially cleaning up government. Do we have any idea what his role will be in other avenues that he may pursue? Today it's USAID. Do we have any idea what else could be on the chopping block?
Well, remember, he is the head of DOGE, which is the Department of Government Efficiency. And so he has come in, and his main priority is to, what he says, cut government waste and spending. And just today, CBS News confirmed that it is looking at ways to dismantle the Department of Education, which sounds dramatic, but we should note that we don't know exactly what that means yet and what plans there are. But I would say, Lindsay, that nothing is protected when it comes to what Elon Musk will and will not go after, because he does believe that there is, so much government waste across the board.
Let's turn to President Trump's decision to delay tariffs. What assurances did he get from Canada and Mexico that led him to delay these?
Well, we know that this was down to the wire, Lindsay. Those tariffs were supposed to be implemented at midnight. And after negotiations, Mexico has agreed to send 10,000 National Guard members to its border with the U.S. And just the past couple of hours, Prime Minister Trudeau announced that Canada would also send 10,000 personnel to the border, but also offered a lot more, including about $1 billion package for a new technology, new choppers, new personnel to monitor the flow of fentanyl, appoint a fentanyl czar. He also said that there would be a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime. So all of these things really fall in line with what President Trump wanted. I mean, he really believes that these tariffs are a powerful tool, especially when it comes to Mexico and Canada, and getting them to do more as it relates to sealing the border from illegal migrants and drugs. And we are seeing that play out tonight. The White House is really touting this as a victory. But we should note, Lindsay, that it's just a 30-day pause for now, and the White House has not specified what could extend that pause and what they're looking for in terms of markers or goals from Canada and Mexico.
Weijia Jiang, thank you. Later this hour, we'll speak to the former head of global health at USAID about the Trump administration's plans to merge the agency into the State Department and how that could affect foreign aid programs worldwide. CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us now. Kelly, we're talking about tariffs here. What is your read on what happened? We just heard Weijia say the president got what he wanted.
Well, it certainly wasn't elegant. There was a lot of back and forth, but I think it proved that tariffs can be a very powerful negotiating tool, and that is one of the reasons that he said he would weld them.
But here's the thing. It's also, will Americans be able to tolerate that as a negotiating tactic? Because the president himself said Americans could feel some pain with tariffs. Do we know how long that pain would last?
Really depends on the industry. So let's take this 10% tariff on China that is expected to go into effect tonight.
Right.
You won't see a full 10% increase when you go to the store, because that is something that's levied on a wholesale price, and then the company decides how much of that are they going to pass on to you and me. So you're not going to see $10 more on $100. But it depends on the industry of how long that would take effect because of inventory, different sourcing. Maybe a company might be able to get something from Taiwan instead of China. So it really depends on the industry. But yes, for some types of products, that would be pretty painful.
Interesting, though, that you said Taiwan for an example, when one of the purposes of this is to bring back U.S. manufacturing, right?
Fair. Yes, that is.
So knowing the prices go all the way up, how does he justify that this will be worth it in the long run?
Right. So this is what's the good argument for tariff?
Right, the 101.
Right. And one would be bringing manufacturing here, because a company that is having to import, pay a 10% tax, would say, well, maybe I could actually build that battery or build that product here in the U.S. Another would be lessening the trade deficit with our trading partners. Right now, we buy more products than we sell to Canada, Mexico, and China. So if we could build more beneficial trade relationships, that could go down. The other thing
but
is,
if there's a trade war, that's not necessarily happening.
That's fair. Though Mexico and Canada do seem to want to come to the table and talk about those things.
Negotiating tactic again. All right, how are the markets and how are businesses reacting to this back and forth?
The markets were all over the place, Lindsay.
Okay.
We saw a huge drop. Then the Mexican president came to the table, and all of a sudden we actually came back less in the red. Businesses, it's very tough. This back and forth, this question of 30 days, is it going to go into effect? We spoke to a farmer. We're putting together a piece about how they're dealing with this. They're thinking, okay, I have to buy fertilizer. I have to buy all of this stuff. It's going to squeeze me.
Yeah, I'm not buying for 30 days from now. I'm buying for X fill in the blank.
And then the other piece is the retaliatory aspect. I'm also planning how much I'm going to plant to sell to China.
Right.
What if they decide not to buy? There's so many different things businesses are navigating.
We will be looking forward to that story. Kelly O'Grady, thank you. And later this hour, we are going to hear from an American business owner who says he will be directly impacted by these tariffs and how it will affect his production.